Do you think AI can influence business decisions, strategic decisions at some point? Do you know 42% of startups fail because they build products with no market need? Many founders waste capital on features that do not solve a real problem. Here comes Pudipeddii. He works with founders to build category-creating products. He co-founded B2B SaaS platform to bring AI to commercial real estate operations. He teaches entrepreneurs how to win through intentional product strategy and business model innovation. Hari is here today to explain how to shape the next generation of scalable companies. We discuss the intersection of AI and circular economies. Let's welcome our today's guest, Pudipeddii, and my co-host, Jaslyn Q. Hari, we have been trying for
Yes, sir.
this. Finally, we are here. Thank you very much.
Yes. Anytime, anytime.
Yeah. And thank you, Jess, for making this possible.
Yeah, no worries. It's my pleasure.
Today, we're going to talk like aligning digital strategy with business goals. And we have seen like industry-wide, typically digital implementations and business goals have some sort of disconnects in between somewhere through communication errors, through tools and enablement of the teams, through translating strategies towards different programs, aligning resources, allocating budget, various kind of challenges, and it is nearly impossible to go perfect on all of those for even a single goal, and there are multiple goals at all times. There are external influence to the business as well. What is your thought about like this marriage of two different worlds and what's going on, and especially with this AI coming into the mix to complicate it even more? Where we are, where do you see we are going to?
We are in 25, 23. So there's a conference in which happens in the Bay Area every year. It's called SASTR, SASTR.
Disaster. Yeah, I was there.
So this happened after my COVID experience of heading to California.
It happened at Foster City or San Mateo, right?
COVID was the year I wanted to come, and that year COVID came, and I never came back to SASTR. Fortunately, in 23, they came to Singapore. I went there. So it's like 3 hours trip for me. So I went to Singapore, had a very good event, networked and everything, and fortunately had 5 minutes with Jason, who's the founder of SaaS.
Jason, yeah, I was in touch with him as well. Yeah.
He brought a very good analogy. Then the following year, I sent him a message saying, Jason, when are the dates? I was planning to go to Melbourne, and I wanted to time it in such a way that I stop over in Singapore and then go to Melbourne, or return vice versa. And he mentioned something very, very different. He said, Hari, the way investors think in this part of the world is totally different from my world. I said, you are bang on. Because be it Asia Pacific, be it Europe, be it EMEA, the investors here are more tuned towards what is your revenue and when can I see my money back. If we go with this approach, we wouldn't have seen Google. Because if you go back how Google started, Larry and Sergey were always following this investor in the running park, and they were college dropouts. And finally, he got fed up of them and gave them $50,000. And that's how Google was born, right? So there are two ways to always look at it. But if you look at APAC more importantly now, which I focus on, be it China, be it Australia, be it other small countries, be it India, investors are more driven with revenue. Now, coming back to your question, AI is really, really premature for this part of the world. And when I say premature, we are still understanding what is AI. Everybody wants to use AI, but nobody understands how to use AI. And I've had conversations with people where it's very evident they're confusing automation with AI. To be very honest with you, to incorporate AI into your business today, it's a freaking expensive stuff. It's not a joke. It's not small money. For you to bring on GPUs or get your servers to run your LLMs, it's not small money. And with startups focusing on bootstrapping or raising a small fund, they're more focused on bringing people on board to use their product rather than use AI. I'll give you a fantastic example. I can give you one from India, one from Australia, but I'll start with India. You heard about Nikhil Kamath, right?
Yeah.
Zerodha, the
Yeah. Yeah.
self-made
Yeah.
billionaire, right?
That's right. Yeah. The youngest billionaire also.
Yeah, in India. And self-made, no investor money. It's his money, right? Coming from a middle class, went on to a big stuff. They use AI not in anything else in their product, but they use AI only to capture the trends of how people invest through their app. And they use AI to understand how brokers are recommending stocks to the investors. That's it. That's the end of it. And only once they have the confidence that this process can be incorporated with AI, they will start rolling out on the platform. Otherwise, they will not go. So AI is at a very premature rate at this part of the world. We are using tools. I mean, all of us use ChatGPT. We are trying to replace that with Google, right? I mean, Jocelyn and I had the same conversation and a few others also. We're trying to replace that with Google, but we're not understanding the power of what they can do and how they can do it for you. There are certain areas which it can help, certain areas which is very expensive, but it can help. And still, there are a lot of limitations with AI. Now, coming back, the gap between the actual execution and the boardroom comes when people are not aligned to the same goals, right? Or the same vision of reaching a particular point. That's where the mishap happens. I can give you another example. I don't know about Jocelyn. I don't know if you heard about it or not. There was a startup called Dunzo. Have you heard about it, Jocelyn, by any chance in India? Okay. So Dunzo started in 2018, 2019. They were the first guys to bring a service in India where I can send you something within minutes. So earlier we were doing courier or I have to come to your house to deliver and things like that. But within the city, you can just log in on the app, select I'm Hari, I'm sending it to Nav, and this is address, this is my address. The guy will pick the parcel up and deliver to you within minutes, anywhere in the Bangalore city. They grew very well, right? The classic difference between how the boardroom thinks and how investors think and what the actual result is. They focused predominantly on customer acquisition. They spent 60 to 70% of their marketing money on customer acquisition. But their tech failed. Their tech failed at many points and they were not paying attention. I still have the LinkedIn conversations with the CTO. I said, this is like, I just quit job and I was becoming an entrepreneur. I said, guys, this is classic mistakes you're doing. If you want, I can come and help you. Naturally, nobody will hear me. So I left it there. But even Reliance Industries, if I'm not wrong, have invested in them. They went pretty big and eventually they closed down.
Is it because there were churn and they didn't focus on retention?
Quality of the service.
Yeah.
But Swiggy
That's why
and
the
the
churn
later apps became, later Swiggy came. They did the same thing. I don't know if you've heard about Swiggy enough.
Swiggy, yeah, I heard this.
Yeah, Swiggy and Zomato you heard. But there is a new guy in the market who came 3 years ago called Porter. That guy nailed it and he is going in a different tangent altogether. You not hear about Porter because they're obsessed with the service quality. Whereas Swiggy or Zomato or, these days something else came, you are hearing more about them because they have too many other offerings. So the most important aspect is understanding what your offering is and focusing on the service. There is something what Swiggy does, what Zomato or no other app does. So in Bangalore, so India has suddenly become pet lovers country, right? We are exploding in pet industry. So Swiggy has an option there. If your pet is missing, you can click on that. And the Swiggy boy, I mean, whichever is the locality, or it goes to everybody. If they find your pet, they will call you and tell you to come and pick him or her up, or if it's a small puppy, they will deliver it back home for a fee. The board room and the actual solution should have the focus area or have the absolute focus, and the team should be aligned to it. No matter how many tools you give it to them, it will not be a success until you know what you're serving and what you want to nail on.
Why do you think it's so hard for them to be aligned? What's the board and the business? Like why is there such a big disconnect between what the board wants and what the executive wants?
If you ask me, it's the same classic misunderstanding what happened with Apple when Steve Jobs got ousted. I give these examples because many people can relate. So, why was Steve Jobs sent out? Because nobody was understanding his vision, and the investors wanted somebody. They wanted to sell the computers faster to make the money back. In those days, Compaq, Dell, all these guys were existing, and these were new entrants. So that is where the misunderstanding or the difference happens. There are only few organizations who can really truly translate that actual vision to the actual. I'll give you a classic example of the company I served with due respects. And if you ask any of former, so now I was working for Cerner for about 12 and a half years, the Midwestern company, the largest health tech company. How did Epic become so big and why did Cerner fall down? Because I don't think the leadership got the hold of what Neil was trying to do, point number one. And Neil was always driving the decision. And once he passed away, it was just a valuable company for somebody to acquire. And now Oracle has it, and Oracle is killing it eventually because their core business is something else. So today, the name Cerner, if you search on Google, it'll go back to the old one. But predominantly, Cerner as a solution is gone. Many clients are replacing Cerner with Epic. So Epic became very big.
Yeah, it used to be a beast company back in like late 90s and early 2000s. Yeah, Sun Microsystems. Yeah, I've used their operating system. It's so strong, secure, and wonderful, but yeah, couldn't survive.
So this is where the biggest problem is with either a startup or a large company or a mid-sized company. That's why if you see the more successful companies are single founder led.
Mm.
If you, I don't know if you've heard, but now they're in Singapore too, the Apollo chain of hospitals in India. They started with a small hospital, Dr. Pratap Reddy, when he came back from the US way back, 60s or 70s, I don't know. But today, his daughters have taken over and it has become a behemoth, right? At times, it's good to have one person running it and your next layer, you mentor them and bring it. But that's where predominantly the conflicts happen now.
So we acknowledge the issue. We acknowledge like how it should happen, but what process should leaders follow, and what should be the focus area for digital teams as well to collect as much information from leaders so that they both align to each other, understand each other, complement on those gray areas, and then they focus on victory.
Even if you're a large organization like Microsoft's or Apple's or whatever, and even if you're a small organization, the first thing you should do is set your leadership team in such a way. Now, one thing, once you cross a threshold of your organization, of your company, it is no longer yours. You have stakeholders. It becomes very important for you to have your stakeholders in sync with you.
Yeah.
That's the most important
There are
aspect.
conflicts all the
right?
time.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
if you can set that process right in conflict resolutions at the leadership level, that's when the company starts to grow. And that's when it becomes more easier to be a successful organization.
It's more like accepting changes are required and the change management.
Correct. But it should be set in the first layer itself. Once you set that, it triples down. It boils down the value chain, right from the CEO to the team lead. It boils down, right? I left Cerner 7, 8 years ago, but even if you ask me today, I can tell you the vision of Cerner. So when I joined in 2003, the way it was taught to us during the induction, I still remember it, to connect the appropriate person at the appropriate time to ensure we save valuable life in the first 60 seconds. The vision was that. And even after like 21 years, I know it. You wake me up in the sleep. So they did so amazingly well in translating the idea as long as Neil was at the helm. But once Neil was sick and the last few years, it all broke down in 2 minutes. It didn't even last 2, 3 years. Finally, they sold the company.
But typically, like when we are keep going personally in our individual lives and in corporates also in work life, it's difficult to spot that I'm doing anything wrong. Okay, it takes a lot of guts to realize that I should stop, step back, look at the big picture again, and then re-strategize and then move forwards. Unless somebody from externally poke you in the head and remind you you are on the wrong path, go back and check again.
Isn't that the board's role? Like, where should the board step in? Like, shouldn't the board play a part in reminding the CEO or what do you think? What is the role of the board then?
It's the board's job, Jocelyn. Definitely, it's the board's job. But how do the 10 people in the board ensure that the 1,000 employees are buying into your vision and how you're treating them? We all know the famous quote, right? People don't leave companies, they leave managers, right? So when you become large, it becomes very, very complicated to and very tough to manage. I'll take a small deviation and give you a small example of a project we have done. I don't want to name the company because uh, for various reasons, I can tell the company's name offline. Um, they called us for a small project. The challenge they're facing is the employees are more motivated to file for patents rather than think of new ideas to make the product better. Why is that happening is because when you file a patent, the company pays you $1,000. And for them, the $1,000 is more valuable because definitely, right? I mean, if I'm a fresher, I'm 5, 10 years, $1,000 is huge enough money for me to suddenly, if I'm getting married, I'll have whatever. They called us and said, "Can you set up as an innovation process?" We said, "Okay." We did a survey among employees. We did a 2 day this thing, 2 hours, 2 hours. We did a workshop. What we realized is 54% of the people voted that whenever we talk about a new idea, my manager immediately tells me, "Did you finish the old work which I gave you?" Right? So the motivation is dead. So even if they have amazing ideas, they stop talking about it. Because why? When I tell my manager, "Did you finish the work?" First you finish your work and then you come to me, right? With idea. Either it's the manager's resistance or it's a psychology of the manager. So we designed the system in such a way. We told them, create a portal where people can submit ideas directly, and the portal will be monitored by the innovation team and not anybody else. And the name also will not be displayed to the person who's seeing the idea. For example, I'm working for uh, uh, mad over marketing. All right. I mean, Jocelyn is like 4 steps ahead of me, but I have an idea. I don't want to tell my manager. I can log that idea and leave it. So Jocelyn will have her innovation team, or she personally monitors the portal. And oh, this is the guy. Okay, now I want to know who is the person. So there is authentication. We got it there, and then only even the CEO will not be able to see Hari's name. She will do an authentication that she proves that she is the CEO, and then she has the rights to see my name. She'll see Hari. Now, if she's interested, she will call me aside and say, "Hey, I want to talk to you about your idea." The second thing we did was we told, do a failure Friday. So one Friday in the month in the cafeteria, you can have it as a failure Friday. And all the people who submitted ideas in that time, top 2 worst ideas you take, and you ask them to come and present there. And before that, have a conversation, explain why does idea does not work to the business model. And Make them do that there and give them a $50, $100 night on the town award. So what you're doing is, as an organization, you're changing the thinking process of the employees, saying you have an award for the worst idea. So you have no idea. The first month had about 5, 6 submissions. At the end of 12 months, every month there were more than 150 submissions.
So building up a culture that failure is okay and acceptable.
Yeah. So this is what they incorporated. And recently also when I spoke, they said, hey, Hari, the idea still works, but we reduced it to a failure Friday every quarter. That's okay. As long as you're encouraging the employees to think different and you are telling them, look, I'm not going to penalize you for the ideas you give.
That kind of open culture is innovating for sure. I have also witnessed this a lot. Like all these like big companies like Google and Facebook, they also do that. Like they have their private time allowed to employees. Like, okay, every Friday for 2 hours you can come and do anything.
Sundar Pichai would not have ever come to America if that was not there. You know how Sundar Pichai came
Chrome
there?
was built in that time.
The Google News and Google Maps was his idea.
Okay.
That was the ideas he submitted. Both of them got selected. That's when they called him to California from Chennai office. And then he came. Then he came back to continue on the project. And finally they shot. I mean, news also ran for some time, right? After that, they closed the news down.
I don't know that level of detail, yeah, but I know that lot of Google's bread and butter products today are actually came from that extra time that they gave their employees to innovate.
Exactly. Exactly. So it's very difficult task. So, I mean, will both sides of companies work? Yes, both sides of the companies work, right? People who control it 100% and people who leave it free also. But it's how you control and how you leave it free. Even when you leave it free, you need control, right? That is where maturity steps in. No matter how many types of tools you have now, but if you, as a human, if you don't know how to map that freedom versus control, it'll be a failure.
Leadership maturity and our focus area, digital maturity here at the moment. How AI is facilitating to drive and define the business goals. Okay, how to identify what should come next on the priorities list, and then how to execute it from strategy to execution. So I'm just like opening up a bigger conversation here, how AI is influencing this and how AI can help make it possible for better outcome in the end.
This is a fantastic book. It should be somewhere in my library. I bought this book in 2010 in US. All right. The Art of Asking Questions, a researcher's handbook. Okay. So that is the target audience for that book is for anybody who's doing PhD kind of research and things like that, where they do data collection points, right? So the art of asking questions. There are now a lot of books, the art of thinking clearly, the art of clarity, the art of imagination, a lot of that book. The first time I read, I didn't quite understand because its target audience is different. It's not me. Now I understand. Recently, I went back and referred the book. Ask AI can do a lot of things. But if you don't know what to ask AI, it will give you vague answers. So, for example, hey, now, what is the best way to come to California? You'll say, Harry, I mean, the best, I mean, from India, you have lots of flights. There's a one direct flight. You can take that, blah, blah, blah. That's all. The question I asked was, how do I come to California? Your answer is, Hari, there are direct flights from India to California now. You can either go to Delhi, Bombay, or Bangalore, and you can fly directly to California today. The conversation ended. You don't know my background and the context I'm asking. So the context I am asking is, you have decided that Hari is going to take a commercial flight and you gave him a suggestion. But the way I'm coming in, I have my boy with me and he can't fly commercial, international, in all flights. So I have to choose the flights. Or now we have options There is a company which does a private jet for people who want to travel with their pets anywhere. But how will Nav know? I didn't ask him that question. I asked him, how do I come from India to
Yeah.
California?
Yeah. Yeah.
This is the problem with AI. If you are not clear with yourself and the question you are asking AI, it will answer in its own style. And if you don't have the domain understanding or the complete understanding of the problem, AI can't help you. I was talking to a person and I said, how much time ChatGPT thought the longest for you when you asked a question?
Sometimes it took more than a minute.
Depends on how you ask the question. It's like a contextual prompting, right?
Yeah, it keeps showing, analyzing, searching on internet, and yeah, there are a bunch of stuff. But my perspective is not really interacting with ChatGPT or a similar generative chatting tool. My perspective is like at scale.
So, if you don't know what to ask, if you don't know how to ask, AI can't help you. You are just telling, you have to tell AI, I am at point A, I want to go to point B, and these are all my constraints. If you yourself don't know your constraints, so I'll talk about my product. I have a product company too. I invested and I'm the product strategist out there. We are building a SaaS platform for commercial real estate. Now, there are n number of players in the world, but our vision is completely different of what others are doing. Whenever I talk to any AI agent, or if we have a small chat agent too, we build something called property brain. How did we get there is basically asking ourselves what the user is wanting from our system and how do we reduce their time to operate. So in the broad spectrum or in the narrow spectrum, Adnav, unless you know what you want to achieve, I want to reduce your travel uh, flight search time from 15 seconds to 1 second, right? Until you have the clarity, no matter what the tool is in the world, it can be ChatGPT or it can be the most advanced LLM, it can't help you. It has the data, but you need to. Every business is having the same challenge today. Everybody wants to use AI, but many are not knowing how to make use of AI to better the outcomes of your product. That is what I see commonly. 9 out of 10 people I speak to, this is the challenge I see.
But it should not be the reason we cannot go with AI. I mean, there are cycles, there are stages, like like crawl, walk, run, and then PDCA. Like you do plan, do, check, and act. Right. So there are
Correct.
cycles to get
Correct.
started. You don't have to be
Uh-huh.
perfect on day one, right?
Correct.
But again, like AI will understand your perspective. Next time you ask similar question or maybe different question about travel or about
Mhm.
airlines, and AI will remember like you had some context in the past, and
Correct.
it will also build history about the context, right? But again, 5 years from now, 2 years from now, if do you think AI can influence business decisions, strategic decisions at some point?
PDCA is fantastic now,
AI
but
is
somebody,
devil.
I will not call it devil, but we can do a lot more. But no, many people are not understanding it. And unfortunately, people are getting misguided. I will give
Yeah,
you a
that's true.
common thing all of us go through every day with AI. So you're an iOS platform now,
Yeah.
Jocelyn?
Android.
I'm both on iOS and Android because of my apps. But why I ask the question is, today, if you look at a Samsung advertisement, right, for their phones, they talk Samsung AI, they talk about bettering the picture, the photograph, right, remove behind and everything. You will see amazing number of YouTube shorts how Samsung AI works and how Apple AI works and which removes the background better on a photograph. The problem is we are stuck with photo and removing background, which unfortunately 90% of the population will use AI for. The 10% are the people who are defining and designing and take it forward. If you ask me, forget about Samsung, Google is killing it, right? With the kind of infrastructure they're bringing around with the Google workspace, they're really killing it in some areas, right? Apple has its own model. Samsung has its own model.
Yeah.
Google has its own model. How many people know this now? How
Yeah.
many people actually want to know the difference? My photo is coming 100x zoom. That's all. I'll
Yeah.
buy
Yeah.
$1,500 phone. That's
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
So this is the challenge. Even though we want to do the PDCA, people should know how to plan, how to do, and if somewhere you realize, oh, I can do a lot more with the solution, you should have a process in place for your product which can incorporate the change into your product based on your maturity levels. How many are thinking like that?
What's the starting point then?
Starting point is this is what I keep telling, have a very good understanding of your domain vertically down. Understand what you're doing, right? Don't do generic problems. I don't want,
Self-awareness.
right? There are many startups I meet, they're solving problems for America. And I had a very hard conversation with a very good friend of mine. My first podcast, which I launched with him, a very good friend of mine, and we agreed to disagree on almost 9.9 things out of 10, right? My question is, when somebody is sitting in India, how can I build a product for America when I have not stepped my foot in America? I can show you a product today who's doing $1 million revenue in America, but they never went to America. They never got an American visa. They nailed it sitting out here. So that's the passion of how you want to understand the problem. They wanted to build something for India, which somebody saw and says, this makes sense for America, start selling in America. They virtually sold the product. They're doing $1 million more. I mean, $1 million plus revenue too. And these two guys are from a small, if you know the places, they're from Tirupati in India, a small town. They're doing $1 million plus, but they never stepped into America.
I have a big similar story for a brand Zoho CRM
You
and
know?
ecosystem. Yeah.
Yeah. Zoho
Yeah.
never sold in India. They started
They
with outside.
they're like a biggest CRM of its nature. I mean, hitting Salesforce, HubSpot to the corners and yeah, giving uh, tough market for them. Yeah. I use Zoho and I love it.
I moved to Aratai completely. I mean, like people, I mean, WhatsApp, because of my international connects, I can't force Jocelyn to join me on Aratai. It doesn't look nice. So I am on WhatsApp for my international communications, but local communications, as much as possible, I ping on Aratai these days.
And that is Zoho tool?
Yeah. So Zoho launched Aratai as a competition to WhatsApp.
I didn't know that. Okay.
I mean, because you live there, they're more focusing on India.
Wow.
And one thing I really like, what WhatsApp doesn't have, is the ability of that messaging app to integrate with your Zoho workspace. So I can set up meetings and everything. Everything is in one centralized place.
See, this is the innovation, right? So WhatsApp was acquired by Meta, Facebook, okay, and they were trying to get into this kind of an ecosystem using WhatsApp's connections network. All they bought is actually the network of contacts. Because it's a social media company, and at that time the strategy was to leverage this. I mean, all I found out immediately after the acquisition was all my WhatsApp contacts list was suddenly coming on my Facebook. You may know this guy.
Yeah, like Meta business is big,
Just that.
right?
I haven't
Yeah.
seen any bigger value. Probably there are a lot. I don't use Facebook anymore. I don't use Instagram anymore. So I don't know a lot about the updates in the last couple of years. But yeah, but at least for a year, and even until after 1 year, this acquisition, I couldn't see any change. But the example you are telling her about Zoho blended their messenger into the ecosystem for CRM campaigns and all that is amazing, and that's what even I was also expecting from
Correct.
Meta to have something like e-commerce implemented. They have marketplace on Facebook.
They do now. But I guess because Meta starts from a B2C, right? And then they're moving into B2B. So that's the difference. Maybe it would have been better for Google to buy WhatsApp.
Recently, we were talking about creating a community for something else, and unanimously everybody voted, please no WhatsApp. So we started on Discord because for Slack I need to pay $10 a month. We didn't want an upfront payment. Not everybody is a paid subscriber like me, so we decided to use Discord. So we want to move away, keep WhatsApp away as much as possible so that it's focused conversations.
It's tough to, I wanted to get out of that social media ecosystem from whatever possible way, but WhatsApp, I think, is the only thing it's hardest for me to quit because of majority of my connections use it. And I just don't want to be like cornered or siloed.
Correct. I have few friends where the conversations are only on Telegram. So my phones, both all alerts are off, all social media alerts are off. So only I have alerts on for LinkedIn and for Telegram. So at the same numbers. So friends who know me, if they want an immediate response, they ping me on Telegram, not on WhatsApp. Because WhatsApp I check only 2-3 times a day, not all the time.
How does this conversation fit in the digital maturity and business goals?
If you want, you can edit this, but we navigated. So when you talked about, so the examples I have given you is how that organization which we did uh,
Yeah.
has bought in or opened up for employees to start contributing.
This conversation was useful about these messages because there is a saying like fish where the fish are, right? So, but people are using uh, business strategies should also focus in those areas, not just what boardroom decides. Oh, this will be good for the company. It doesn't work like that. It should what's going on out there in the user base, in the community, in the industry, and that's how it should drive. And what strengths and weaknesses our businesses have in house, and what are the
Mhm.
gaps to fulfill that demand outside, and then blend it digitally,
Correct.
capacity and capabilities wise as well, strengths and weaknesses, just to identify all those. I mean, I still think like the conversation we had in last 5 minutes is important uh, because it belongs to understanding users demand and the maturity of our own organization strength.
I'll give you another example about the boardroom and the how the team should align with the vision. Um, a few years ago, there's an NRI who came back. He was traveling, and he had to pack four shoes. One for casual wear, one his loafers, and one is formal shoes, and one is running shoes. Right? And he said, "This is nonsense. I want one shoe. That's it." And that's how a company called Neiman's was born. You can search Neiman, Neeman. It's a shoe manufacturer. In the last 3 years, now he has an uphill challenge where the Nikes, the Reeboks, and Indians obsessed with the brands rather than anything else. Plus, we want a brand, but we want it cost conscious, right? I don't want to pay 20,000 for a running shoe, but I want the most comfortable running shoe. It doesn't work like that, right? But so what he did, they launched the shoe, and he saw it was very getting difficult for him to sell. You know what he did? The moment a shoe is sold, by mistake, somebody buys the shoe, his sales team will call the person and people were buying the shoe but not wearing it because they have their other shoes to wear. uh, so what he did is he implemented a new thing where he went to the first level of his sales team. Whenever somebody purchases, if for example, if you are purchasing from a shop based on the pin code, I mean, they usually take your phone number and the pin code or email and things. Based on the pin code, he made people call that person and say, "Did you wear the shoe today? How is it? What is the improvement we need to do? What is it?" And after somebody is calling them 10 times, somebody is calling you, you bought a product. Just to get rid of the guy, you will wear that product or use the product. And if you like it, you like it. If you don't like it, you will tell that guy, "You know what? I hate your product. I'm not going to use it. I'm throwing it away." Either of the two you're going to do. And today, Newman's, I think they have crossed 25 million or 30 million in sales. That's the strategy. That's the strategy.
They focused on their customers, right?
He irritated them by calling. You, by mistake, buy a Newman shoe, you will get a call. "Sir, how is the shoe? How is it? Are you comfortable? What is it I can improve?" See, you will get fed up, right? The people who are buying those shoes are the youngsters because it's
Mm.
like affordable, 2,000-3,000 bucks,
Yeah.
but looks classy. You can go and search on Google Newman shoes. You'll see they have new models and fantastic. And what they did was, because of the pin code, they started sending people in that area to the schools and colleges to take feedback from people who bought. So it was in person and also through phone call and customer service. So you should get the processes. And now the sales team is set for him, because wherever they go, they know, as a company, if I have a product, I need to take customer feedback. My CEO itself is doing that, and I want to do this. Is the in it, I would call it, this is the teachings what a leader can do, and also learn from the team and based on interactions. How would it go? I can give you more examples like this, but yeah, it'll take a long time. That's the problem with me. You make me talk, I'll start giving you more examples like this. But yes, bridging between board and the team requires dedication, commitment, and exactly how you want your vision to translate. But you also give the freedom. So if you're building, you want to say, Nav's podcast should have 1 million views or million subscribers to my channel. Yes, Nav will do it, but his team also should buy into that value of what the channel is. I should be proud to be associated with Nav podcast, so that I will put in more effort to
Mm-hmm.
make it much more bigger.
Right.
So it's not only technology, it's all about a human emotion,
Yeah.
right? That's very, very important. That's how you bridge these two. I'm sure anywhere in the world you must have heard about Mukesh Ambani, one of the richest Indians. Jocelyn must have heard. Now we should have Reliance Group. I'll talk about one arm of them. So Jio entered, mobile few years ago. I mean, a decade ago. Airtel, Vodafone, uh, all were existing. There were a lot of other Aircel. There were a lot of other companies, but today only it's Airtel and Jio. Vodafone still exists for different reasons. Their line of business is very different. When Airtel was spending a lot of money in advertising, you know what Jio did? You can't find a Jio ad, by the way. You will never see a Jio ad for their mobile or cloud or any of the services. You know what?
Mhm.
What did it? After all the exercise, I met with a senior leader recently of Jio, and he was explaining. So so Mukesh Ambani gave a directive that we should be this big and all the stuff. So they brainstormed, beautifully done and everything. And finally, he entered the meeting and he said, "What's the ideas?" He said, "There are a couple of ideas. We want to keep balloons, blah, blah." And he was very clear in his instructions: no media, which is advertisement or print or anything like that. How do I reach more? He said only simple thing: go to tier 2, tier 3 cities, find the youngsters who graduated out of college. Jocelyn, if you know India, tier 2, tier 3 cities, for us to afford a two-wheeler just after graduate is a little over my budget. So what he told is, give a bicycle or a moped to anybody. The guy has to sell 10 SIM cards every day. Okay? And if he does that for 1 month, and every day he has to come to office and take the cycle or the bike, go and sell, and evening he has to come back and park it back. Okay? And you get the commission, whatever. But if you do that consistently for 30 days, that bicycle or the bike is yours. Plus you meet your target, it's free. Take it. So he did the math and said, the amount you're spending on all these things, I can get done in 1/10 of a cost. Right? That clicked, and Jio today has the largest network than Airtel in just 10 years.
I think their other biggest strategy was to offer free data for a very long time, and which actually made people bought into and got addicted for browsing and
That's what Arvind Srinivas of Perplexity did, right? So in India, if you have an Airtel connection, postpaid, right? I'll give you the data also. If you have a postpaid connection with Airtel, you get 1 year of free Perplexity.
Okay.
Everybody install Perplexity. Forget about ChatGPT.
I love Perplexity.
And you know now what happened? ChatGPT has a plan for India of $5.
Yeah, I know that.
How did that come? Because of Arvind Srinivas. He went and partnered with Airtel, and for first year I was dumb. I paid all the money and took the subscription for Perplexity. But now what I did is I have my paid subscription, which will expire in another 4 months or so. And I have an Airtel connection. So I took one on my another email address. I took another subscription on another email address because I have 2 numbers on Airtel. So for the next 1.5 years, I'm covered with Perplexity. See, this is what, when you do these kind of things, one is you form a habit. So somebody who's used to Perplexity, which is a very, very different model when compared to, Cloud or ChatGPT, when you are used to it, you will not go back to it. You will think, oh, why should I pay $20 to ChatGPT? Or I'm very happy with Perplexity. I'm happy. I will confine all my research here for the free of ChatGPT Cloud gives you some limits, right? So until then, I will go and research on that and close it. Only people like me are junk who will go and subscribe to everything to ensure I test everything and all that stuff. So coming back, winning between, again, I want to close the loop. Board and the team or the company will not only need the vision buy-in from the team, but also the liberty for them to do what they want in the vicinity of the vision. That
Yeah.
gives you more encouragement to generate more results. That's what Google is doing. So no matter
Yeah.
what technology comes now, it can be AI, tomorrow can be AGI. AGI is much faster, will come much faster. But if you can't find a solution in midway, no business can win. No business can sustain. Probably I can talk about them. So recently a company reached out, 2 people startup. They started about 12, 18 months back. They're decent at about $3,000 revenue today. Only 2 of them. They solved an amazing problem. I can explain, actually, I can do a little sales on that also. But anyway, on a lighter side, I really like the solution. You have all these amazing CRMs. HubSpot is there, Salesforce, Zoho, and everything. Everybody wants you to sign up with them, right? And then start using it the way they tell you. Even recently, MailChimp emerged as a CRM kind of a stuff. These guys did something very amazing, and I would highly recommend you guys try and let me know how you like the solution. It's called gridai.in. That's India focused now. You can try. You'll enjoy it. Jocelyn, you can try because you're in marketing. They have some limitation. It's free for first 5 cards, and after that, it's about $10 annually, right? It's not expensive at all. So what they do is, it's a bot. Once you go to the website and say start using it, it'll open your WhatsApp and it'll set the connect. When you meet people, you get a visiting card, right? You just scan it. It'll convert that into a contact.
Yeah.
It'll connect to your Google Sheets. You can create a custom welcome or introduction email, and you can do a lot more in that bot. When I met them, I said, guys, do you know what problem you are solving? The thought for a while, no, we're trying to bring everybody to organize. I said, no, you became the key for the ignition to start for any CRM. Today, my challenge with CRM is, I meet Jocelyn. She gives me a card, or I connect with her on LinkedIn. I come home, manually update. Yes, there are tools I can use which can automatically pull, Fork and everything are there, which can pull the LinkedIn and make it. Fork is again expensive, $25 a month. This is $10 annual, right? So it created. So the moment I scan, the contact is added to my phone, and immediately Justin gets an email from my official email ID. We connected today. Thank you. Here is my what I do. Here is a link to my product or service or whatever. Please let me know how we can work together. They solve the problem where you don't need to invest so much money. Simple ideas which are path breaking.
Yeah. This is nice.
Yeah, you want to call it an AI solution, you want to call it path breaking. But for me, they said, Hari, how do we grow to become this big? I said, no, you are playing in an area which nobody in the world is playing. Focus there and name it. So that Nobody else, even tomorrow, if Salesforce or Zoho or anybody comes in, they can't get past you, right? And the most amazing thing, when they were talking about the case study, they said, how do you know? People today, they find a shop, about the India layout, right? Shop, you'll have a name, you'll have a phone number, the GST number displayed. They go take a photo of the shop and the whole shop details are here, right? They're using it in different case studies and they really, really nailed it. And I met with this guy. So I use a product called for my meetings I call something called Neospan. I don't want to advertise for them, but that solved a real big problem for me for communication. When I go to conferences or something, I forget names, so it captures what I'm conversing and it'll organize everything on the app and done. No subscription, nothing. So we were talking and I told him, yeah, this gentleman, Hari, have you heard about Grid AI? That's fantastic. Why don't you use it? And just 2 days before, these guys reached out to me, and that was a validation point that a southern head of Reliance uses their product. And when I told them, they were like off their chair. I said, guys, you have amazing, paying customers. You should capitalize on how to get and everything. So yeah, it's just not about how AI can play a role. It's more important of how passionately you want to solve the problem, and how you're solving it and how you're keeping your customers happy.
Yeah.
I did a small research on why people switch from Google to Microsoft and why people hate Microsoft, Office 365. I'm a huge fan of Office 365, but many people hate it. Why? Because how Google has become a part of our lives. Our Android is Google login. Microsoft login, it doesn't work,
Yeah.
right? So they created that ecosystem and then pulled, and then they're doing it. So Microsoft Windows Phone, we know what happened with that. That's a different conversation. They wanted to go in the direction, but they stuck to it. But nobody can beat Microsoft in the way they approach the problem, the professionalism and everything. Google has a long way to go there in that area. I don't think they will go in that direction also.
Very wonderful conversation, great insights, so many new ideas, and like how to spot gaps, how to approach for solving problems, how and when to acknowledge things, and how the boardroom culture should shift as well to narrow it down towards company's culture. All great topics, and thank you very much for your insights.
Anytime. I hope it was worth for you early in the morning. For Jocelyn, it's midnight. So I hope it's worth.
It is pleasure. Yeah. And that's a wrap on this episode. We hope you are walking away with at least one battle-tested strategy you can apply to your own digital journey today. This show is built for leaders like you who are tired of the fluff and ready for real solutions. If you found value in this discussion today, please subscribe to the channel and leave us a review. It helps us bring more world-class leaders to the table. Also, feel free to share this episode with a colleague who is navigating these same digital trenches. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.